should be worried about Golden State, that they could go on a sneaky run?
I've said that yesterday as we showed in the cold open, and obviously I say that today. We understand they're not the best. You're vying for a play-in, okay? Well, let's take this into consideration and just break it down, Doggy. Number one, you're in a position right now where you've beaten the Lakers 3 or 4 times this year. You're only a half game behind them. So you're in a position to get home court advantage for the 9-10 play-in in the event that you run the table and win the rest of your regular season games. The Lakers got 2 games to go. You got 3 games to go. You'd be in a tie if you ran the table and they won as well. And obviously it'd be a situation where the tiebreaker would go to you because you've beaten them 3 or 4 times. So that game would be in Golden State, even though Golden State has been better, ironically, on the road this year. After being horrific on the road last year, they're better on the road this year than they were at home this year. We get that. But they're also a game back of the 8th slot. And because you're in the 8th slot, that's what Steph Curry was talking about, 2 shots at the apple. You're 7th or 8th seed. You know what? You win, you're the 7th seed. You lose, you still play the winner of the 9-10 seed. So you get 2 cracks at being in the playoffs. You also get an opportunity to decide, or be in a position rather where you could go against a 1 or 2 seed where one opponent might be better for you than the other. One opponent might be worse. I'm looking at Golden State, and as I articulated yesterday with Legs and Shannon, is when I said this. We know what Steph Curry's going to bring to the table. But what if Klay Thompson got hot? What if Kuminga, Podziemski, Wiggins were hitting perimeter shots? You have to remember, in the game of basketball, when you are elite from the perimeter, you force teams to capitulate to your style of play to some degree, as opposed to being who they are. Like, for example, if you're Minnesota, you can't stay big with Rudy Gobert on the court if Golden State is hitting jump shots all over the place. Denver's Denver, and Jokic is going to be Jokic, and we get that part. But anybody else that you're going up against, when you think about a team as elite at shooting the basketball on occasion, as the Warriors have shown and proven over the years they can be, you're talking about perimeter shooting, you're talking about open court opportunities, you're also talking about accuracy at the free throw line. You know this from all of your years of doing great radio and covering sports. The game slows down in the postseason time. And as a result, all of a sudden, you're going to slow down. You're going to find yourself getting to the free throw line more. And if in the event that you can't slow them down and they're getting open court opportunities or perimeter shot opportunities, I think that puts the Golden State Warriors in a position to be incredibly scary. They're a 10th seed, a 9th seed, or 8th seed. They're playing with relative house money because the expectations for them are minimal compared to some of those other teams that have been starving for an opportunity to elevate themselves within the pantheon of the Western Conference. And you're
okay, so I don't know what he's talking about with the free throws because the refs swallow the whistles and it gets more physical. So I don't really know what he means with regards to that. That just, I don't even know what to say to that, quite honestly. But in terms of the Warriors, now I'm a huge Golden State Warriors fan. But I do want to call for caution, especially by using last night's game, which I watched start to finish. It was a great game. It was fun. That was definitely an outlier game because the Golden State Warriors were so hot. They had an historic 3-point shooting. Draymond Green was, 1.5 for 5 from the 3. I mean, they just could not miss. Everything was going in. They shot, I think it was up from the 3, like 62%. You can't rely on that. And AD was not playing yesterday. And so that's, of course, a problem. But do I think that the Golden State Warriors can actually go on a run? I do. I think it'll be brutally difficult. And you do have to rely on them being hot. I mean, if you think about it, they're going to have to now win. Let's say they can't get out of the 9-10 gap. Then they got to win. They'll have to essentially win, like, what is it? Like 6-7 games in a row. That's not an easy thing to do. It's not easy to have Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, and all these guys be hot from shooting all those games in a row. It's just not the way how averages work. Someone's going to have an off night. Now, if anyone can do it, it's the Golden State Warriors. And this is why, and if you watch any of my clips, you'll see that I did a clip talk with Colin Cowherd from The Herd, where he said, Steve Kerr is trying to show the front office how important Klay Thompson is because his usage just keeps going up and up and up. And I said, that's BS, that's nonsense. He's not trying to send a message to the front office that, about Klay. He's trying to send a message to Klay. He's trying to get Klay going. He's trying to get him comfortable. He's trying to send the message, Klay, we need you. The reason why we didn't go as far as we could have last season was because of you, Klay. And that's not a knock on Klay. It's saying you are so important to our success. We can only go as far as you will allow us. It's not just Steph Curry. It's not just Draymond. Like, you are part of this dynasty. So we need you. And it's true, because if Klay was just shooting even remotely what he had in the past, they could have beaten the Lakers. The game against the Kings wouldn't have been as exhausting. Steph Curry wouldn't have been as burned out. He wouldn't have need to, just empty the tank game after game. So all those things matter. So yes, if Klay is able to finally turn this corner and fully, maybe it just took a little bit longer with all his surgeries, and now he's getting back to closer to what we know of what Klay can do, then yeah, there's a real possibility. Also, make no mistake about it. The Golden State Warriors are in this position because Draymond Green wasn't playing. When he's on the court, when he's actually playing, not suspended or, asked to just not play, whatever the situation is, or ejected, the Golden State Warriors were on pace to be like, I forget exactly what it is, the 5th or 6th seed, like significantly higher than what they are now. So their record is misleading. Now, the hole might be too steep for them to climb out, and the ask might be too great, because it is not an easy ask. If it's just a one and done against the Lakers, that's going to be tough. Because if you're asking who has the better chance when you just have to empty out the tank in a win-or-go-home game, that is where the more physically dominant players have the advantage. AD, LeBron James. That's why it's pretty much non-existent to have the players who are smaller than 6'4", 6'3", or down, where they are truly the face and the leader, where they can consistently win game after game, go to all the championships, because it's just too difficult. As amazing as Steph is, he's just not physically imposing enough. That's why these bigger guys, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, even the guys who aren't even necessarily winning but still have a more dominant presence, like a Jokic, who might be starting his winning reign right now, Giannis, it's just this more physical presence that it's like you can rely on that more, because Steph's game is so predicated on, is the 3-ball falling or not? Is he going to go 3 for 10 or is he going to go 8 for 10? And you have no idea when that's going to happen. 8 for 10 is a lot different than 3 for 10. And 3 for 10 isn't necessarily terrible. Just 1 3 away from being 4 for 10, 40%, pretty good, But then he also has some of these crazy games where he's like 8 for 12, and that's a difference. And it's just like impossible to know why sometimes the threes are falling, the shots are falling, and they're not. You just have no idea why. God, the universe, averages, whatever. But your physicality, you can always rely on it. Shaq is not like, I don't know how strong I'm going to be in this game. In his prime, he's going to be strong. He's going to be able to box out. He's going to be able to play bully ball. LeBron James, again, outside of these people being injured and banged up. But the big caveat is that when you get older, that's the problem, is that physicality now does start to slip away. And if you do rely on the physicality in a 7-game series, and you really have to empty the tank in game 1, the older you get, the harder it is to bounce back. That's why we've seen now lately LeBron James have a great game, and then the next game, not so great, because he just can't recover. It's just a matter of recovering. He's physically not as strong as he was in game 2 than he was in game 1. If he could lift 100 pounds for 20 reps on game 1, when it's time for game 2, he could only lift 100 pounds for 15 reps now, right? That's when we talk about recovery. And that's just what happens when you get older. Your recovery, it takes longer and longer and longer for you to recover. And you have some players like AD who have had those issues forever. And I don't even really blame him. Sure, he could probably condition himself more, but it's also genetics. It's also just the way his body is. It just is. And so, that's why he doesn't play the back-to-backs and has some of those issues. And so I think in the playoffs, that's where the Lakers run into trouble. But in a one-and-done series, in a one-on-one, game, 9 first 10 seed in the play-in, I think, who knows at that point? I think it's a genuine roll of the dice. And it's impossible to predict. Steph Curry and Klay Thompson are either hitting their shots or they're not. If they're hitting their shots, I got them. If they're not, or if they just have pretty good, shooting nights. And again, it's also like, is Draymond Green hitting that three? Is Wiggins hitting the threes? You know, like that's what it comes down to. So I think it becomes very difficult to predict, which to me is exciting. I love that. Basketball and football, for that matter, gets really boring when you have a very strong idea of what's going to happen. Because then you're just like, it's like it's a formality. You're just waiting for it to happen. Like, even though the Golden State Warriors were so exciting to watch during their reign, I mean, as soon as the season ended, you knew, okay, Cavaliers versus Golden State next season. And you just knew. And it was. You know, credit to both those teams. They made it happen. But it was like, and it was fun and it was still exciting. And since I'm a Warriors fan, I love to watch it. But it was still like, now this is exciting. Because I go into it, this playing game, and I genuinely have no idea. You're actually like, I have no idea who can win this game. What's going to happen? Is LeBron going to put up 40? Is AD going to get 30 rebounds? Is Steph going to go off and make 10 threes? Is he going to hit that crazy logo shot? Is he going to go back to back on threes? Or is he going to miss 2 threes in a row? And he's going to be chewing on his mouth guard, kind of talking to himself where he like stares off into the distance, like down at the ground like he does. You just have no idea. So I'm really excited. I truly can't wait. I originally thought the play-in tournament and all that was so dumb. And now I'm like, this was the best move they made, because all these games now are exciting. It's gripping. You could see how badly both teams wanted that win last night, Lakers and Golden State. And then the play-in tournament's exciting. That's actually great. Now, if they could get the other 75 games interesting, the NBA would be in a great place. But right now, the NBA season to me is finally getting exciting, and I truly, truly can't wait. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours, whether you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. Thank you so much, and see you next time.